Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Are you feeling good? I know I am. Are you feeling alive? Are you feeling changed? Hopefully you are. Let me get your chats on screen so people in the VOD can see your lovely messages. Here we go. Voila. Voila. Welcome. What was the last song? We are just listening to Novigrad Witcher 3 emotional music and ambience on YouTube. It's good stuff. So it's just a collection of OST songs. It's very good. Okay. Am I gonna watch the Quest 3 reveal? Oh, I didn't even realize that's happening. Is it happening like right now? Last time we tried to do something like that for the Apple event, they struck us so hard. Let's see. Coming this fall. Oh, that's the 3 month ago video. I don't know. Is it happening? Loving the new DLC for Cyberpunk? I know, right? It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. I mean, with Cyberpunk, it brings up all these questions of like, do you just forgive them for everything? And I don't think so. So let me be like clear-ish on this. I think Cyberpunk 2077 now is at a point where if it had launched like this, it would be a contender for Game of the Year. I mean, it's just, the package now is stellar. It should have launched like this, but it didn't. And I don't think you can just say, oh, after 3 years of work, they got it to the point where it's acceptable. I don't think that just totally forgives it. In the same way it doesn't forgive it for Fallout 76 or for like Marvel's Avengers or any of these other games. So I think what we can say is, objectively, at this point, Cyberpunk 2077 is a complete package. It's a really good game, and I think it's worth getting and playing and enjoying. But when we see the next game that's not just like an update or expansion to something they've been working on fixing for 3 years, whether that's like The Witcher 4 or whatever their next project is that releases, I think we should be hesitant to get hyped for that, because it's different to release patches and updates and a DLC to something that you've been fixing for 3 years. It's different to do that versus a whole new standalone release. Bear in mind, on a new engine, which the next ones will be. It'll be on the Unreal Engine. So it's just going to be a different animal. And as a result, I think that discussion will be very annoying, because a lot of people are going to be like, why are you trying to be skeptical of this game? You liked Cyberpunk 2077 after all the updates. I'm like, yeah, after 3 years of updates, I liked it. Sure didn't like it at launch. I mean, the core game was good, but the game as like a product was disgraceful. They're doing an event for the Quest 3 in like 30 minutes or so, I've heard. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll see if it lines up. I'm going out of town tomorrow, so we are going to go through a bunch of stuff today to make sure we have content for VODs and stuff and clips on this channel through the next week or so. Should be good. And I mean, I'll still be able to like stream from my phone, or like when I was in Arizona, for those of you that were on that stream where I just streamed off like my tablet and we just chatted for like an hour and a half while the kids were napping. It was great. It was great. Major Dookie Juice, love the name as always. Thank you for the 1 month. Cyberpunk on my 2060 is miles above when I played it on PS4 at launch. Oh, I believe that. I believe that. That PS4 version was something else. Really, it should have never launched on PS4, but because they marketed it on Xbox One and PS4, they had to release it, which I think they made the right choice to still release it. Well, like after they had accepted money, if they couldn't do refunds, then yeah, you should release it, of course. But in an ideal world, they just never sold it on that platform, because clearly it was never going to run well on the PS4 or Xbox One, you know? Clearly. I think that they should have maybe either refunded people's orders and just been like, hey, straight up guys, it's not going to run. But we were so early in the PS5 Xbox Series generation, I think they knew that that would majorly hurt their bottom line. So it was just a sucky situation for everybody. Russell also, thank you for the super chat. They are launching Horizon Forbidden West on PC, but not Ghost of Tsushima. God is truly dead. Yeah, I am surprised that we haven't seen Ghost of Tsushima yet on PC. Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, I think they announced it, didn't they? Like, it's just not here yet. But apparently, Horizon is quickly approaching. So I don't know. I don't know. It is weird, though. I also still, it boggles my mind that we haven't seen a port of The Last of Us Part 2. I think, like, I would put a lot of money on the reason we haven't seen it is because they're planning on re-releasing it. Oh, they haven't announced it yet? I'm just making it up. I think everybody just assumes it's going to be the case. So I'm just like, yeah, it's probably a thing. So that makes sense. So what was I saying? I just totally spaced it. Oh, Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. Anyway, I think everybody assumes that it's coming in, so maybe that's why I just thought that it was. But as for The Last of Us Part 2, I think they're waiting on putting that out because they're going to put it out with season 2 of the HBO show at $70. They're going to do just like a complete edition, which doesn't make any sense because there wasn't DLC or anything for the game, but they'll do like a Game of the Year edition or complete edition or something, maybe with a skin or color filter or something. And they'll sell that for $70. They'll unlist the old version, and then they'll also announce it for PC and just capitalize on the season 2 hype that way, which honestly is a good idea. I mean, it's probably the best way to do it, but it still is annoying because we're like 3 years out from it and still no support for that. It's really weird. So we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of stuff that that Sony does that's just confusing. It's like, it seems like a slam dunk, but then they don't do it, you know? So, who knows? Remedy guy, I mean, I like Remedy. They're clearly a top tier developer. We're going to look at Alan Wake previews here in a second. They're clearly, they know what they're doing. As for like Control, I never really clicked with Control, honestly. I didn't think it was bad. I was just like, it didn't hook me up with that dopamine drip. But then again, neither did Ghost of Tsushima when I first played it, so maybe I should try it again. State of Play leak? No, I did not see a possible State of Play leak. You should share that. Let me know. Let me know. Yeah, Elden Ring DLC was announced sometime back. Yeah, they've been quiet on that. Makes me wonder, is this going to be like a pretty big project? Because I don't feel like it was this big of a gap between the DLC, between the release of like, say Dark Souls 3 and the first DLC for that. Granted, the first DLC for Dark Souls 3 was like super sucky. And then the second one was pretty good, but the first one was very sucky. When am I moving? So, good question. Because streams when I get back from this trip are going to be weird, okay? It's going to be a little different from what we're used to. I am going to get back roughly, I believe it's on the 8th. It's like the morning of the 8th of October. That afternoon, we're going to drive, check out the new place, make sure that, because we had a bunch of contingencies and stuff, they had to replace the sewer line, which they're going to be doing in like sometime next week. They're going to start on it. And then they have to redo the landscaping for everything they tear up. And they have to pay for all of that. So on the 8th, when we get back, we're going to drive up there, check out the property, make sure they did that. And then we're going to, if everything is good, and they actually did do the work, we're going to close the next morning on the 9th. And then we start that afternoon frantically painting. Probably the studio is one of the first things we'll do there. Because once we have the studio set where I can at least do some stuff in it, we can move the internet service over to that address. We can transfer everything over And at that point, like, okay, I'll start working out of that new house. And when we finish the stream, I'll just go upstairs and keep painting and doing stuff. We also have all of the trim, like all the floorboard kind of things, these things, baseboards, all of those are being replaced in the entire house. We're just going to have it all replaced because they had like, it's weird. They had the cabinets for the kitchen. They wanted to like make them look nicer in the pictures because they redid a bunch of the kitchen. So they painted the cabinets a really nice new color. It's very, very well done. They did a very good job painting them, but it's like they had a ton of extra paint. So they repainted all of the trim, all of these baseboards in the entire house. And it looks horrible. Like the rest of the house is gorgeous. But this weird decision to paint like the baseboards a baby bluish color was just, wasn't it, fam? So we decided to just redo pretty much all of that. So we're just going to be replacing it all. And it's just, it is what it is. It's going to be a whole process. Baby blue, nope. Yeah, it looks really bizarre. I mean, it's just all along the bottom. And they're older, they're warped a little bit, and it's like when they took them off the wall, then they painted them and then they put them back on, but they didn't put them back on very well. So there's like weird gaps in it. It just wasn't very well done. So we knew going into it that we'd be replacing all of the baseboards. So we're going to be doing that. But basically we move most likely mid to late-ish October, but it'll be a very slow burn because we pretty much have all of October to do it. So I think around the 10th or 11th, I'll start moving parts of the studio over, and I think we're going to stream part of that for the fun of it. So I'll stream just like from my phone, packing up the studio, and then we'll build the studio together. We'll stream like putting up the lights because you can't really see it. But like, back up. We have like all of these bars going up across with like big studio lights and everything. It's like pretty elaborate. We have like this massive, come on, Daniel, hold on. I have to adjust the tripod thing. Yeah, we've got big softbox lights and everything. It's just an ordeal. It's an ordeal to move all of this. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. Inject me with a human connection. Happily, Drizzy. What are the speakers? These are Kef LS50 Mark IIs. So KEF and then space LS, like Luke Stevens, 50. And then 2 eyes, Mark IIs. Really rolls off the tongue. Yeah, they're phenomenal. And then I also have a 10-inch subwoofer under here that you can't see. It makes playing games crazy. Like it rattles the desk when things get crazy. It's fun. It's a good time. It's a good time. Yeah, high quality equipment, guy. Thank you. Yeah, Elder. Only the best for somebody with impulse control issues. I'll tell you what. Hold on. Okay. But yeah, anyway, so it's going to be a very slow process of moving stuff over, setting up the new studio. My hope is to be able to start making videos again in that space, probably like around the middle of the week of the 16th. So like maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, 17th or 18th of October. I hope to be able to start doing some stuff. Should be good. Should be good. It's just a slow process. Are you stoned? Because I am. Yeah, it's unfortunately no. I'm just here. But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be hectic, but good. As for other super chats, Brandon, thank you for this. Super chat, $5, 25 hours. Oh, did it not do text, voice to text? That's weird. It should have. 25 hours into Starfield, I realized I hate Sarah Morgan with every bone in my body. Also, digital or physical copies. I'm physical all day. For one, bummer that Starfield's not clicking. Secondly, as for digital or physical copies, personally, like, I've got a bunch of physical copies of all sorts of games, but like for my particular workflow, digital just makes more sense. I have like 3 consoles, 3 PS5s in this house. I've got a handful of Xboxes. Like, I have the handheld gaming devices and a gaming laptop and separate gaming PCs and stuff for testing different settings on games when we're reviewing it. And so digital copies just make more sense usually because I don't have to lug a disc around everywhere. I can also have a digital PS5 instead of having to have a disc one every single time. It's in the library. It syncs to all of my stuff. For me, digital, just the convenience is there. I understand the argument for preservation. Having physical copies is really important, and I would agree with that. Yeah, for some reason, the alert box isn't making sound today. I don't know why. But personally, for me, the convenience of it is just too high. And it seems that that's also the case for a lot of other people too, which is why digital copies make up like 80 or 70% of all game sales nowadays. Freaking scalper, yeah. I think this one I walked into a Target and saw it there. It was like they had the little like lock case thing and they had like 5 of them. And this was like, I think late last year or something. But I felt like $1 million finding a bunch of PS5s. I do have a friend who had that happen and he bought them and then resold them. I teased the crap out of him for that, for being a scalper. What's funny though is he did that, tried to sell it, I should say, and couldn't find anybody that wanted to buy it. So he had to sell it. I think he even sold it at a loss. He sold it at like a $25 loss or something, which is just freaking hilarious. Yeah, it was karma. It was pretty funny because we all teased him. He mentioned it at like a game night we were doing, and so we all teased him incessantly. And then he's like, "Yeah, and I had to sell it at a loss because nobody wanted to buy it." Because like if you can walk into a store and get it for $500 or $550, whatever it was at the time, why are you going to buy it from some dude on Facebook Marketplace for the same or more, right? You don't know what he's done with it, so you're going to buy it at a discount, if anything. And so that's what he had to do. He had to put it at a discount to get rid of it, which I just thought was so funny. Mr. K, Luke, I don't know why you said you didn't think your community cared to have you review Alan Wake 2. I'd be shocked if that's true. We actually did a poll. I think it's that I don't think it's anything against Alan Wake 2. I think our discourse has just been dominated by a couple of games for so long that Alan Wake 2 just wasn't coming up. So I was like, well, if people aren't talking about it, it must not be a point of a lot of interest. But now that the dust is settling, Phantom Liberty's out, Starfield's out, we have a chance to kind of look at other things, and Alan Wake 2 is one of them. So I'm sending emails. We'll see if we can get review codes and stuff. I will be reviewing Mirage. Some review codes for Mirage have gone out already. It looks like 2 big like websites and stuff, they've sent codes out already, which happens sometimes. But as for regular people and influencers, we are just waiting. I got in contact with somebody at Ubisoft yesterday, my contact over there, and they said, yep, you're on the list. We just haven't sent codes out to influencers yet. So that's why me and Joe Raptor haven't gotten one. It just seems like for whatever reason they're sending it to IGN, VGC, those guys, like a handful of days early. I don't know why. So we'll get there. Can you start giving us financial advice? I'll follow. Give me financial advice. Considering how often I get distracted during these streams, I would guess we probably have a couple of segments of not financial advice, by the end of the stream, I would guess. Joe Raptor don't even have a code. Yeah, it's just part of it. They, for whatever reason, if you have a website, they treat you like a serious reviewer, and then if you don't, they're like, oh well, it's whatever, we'll get it to you eventually. Like, it's just weird. Like, they won't send SkillUp a review code, but they'll send some website you've never heard of a review code just because they have a website. It's weird. Sounds like you need to make a website. Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it. I was like, yeah, maybe I just make my own little, I don't know, like whatever website.com, and that's just what it is. I don't even know what we do. We'd have to have like text versions of the reviews put up, probably. I don't know. Website equals profit. I don't know, man. When we did a little bit of that, it's the lag.com, we did that website, and me, Cammy, and Jacob worked on it for like a year trying to make it work during COVID, and it just hemorrhaged time and money. Like, I don't know how anybody makes a website profitable. It's really crazy difficult. Mr. K, that's good to know. Maybe we'll do it. I mean, realistically, it's like a few days early access, and maybe we get press credentials and stuff. They're getting better. A lot of companies are treating it more like, because again, it makes more sense to give SkillUp the earliest access as a huge reviewer than to give like thumbsticksrus.net early access, you know? So I just think eventually they'll wake up to it. It's just a lot of boomers that are making the decisions, you know? It's a lot of boomers. Lit TV, I don't necessarily disagree. I think 3 years is really, really ridiculous, but we don't do repeated messages, just so you know. So we'll just time out, but after the timeout, you can come back and keep talking. We just don't do repeated messages. Otherwise, chat gets insane. Yeah, should we look at this? We can look at this. Thoughts on the Sony hack? As of right now, I think like there hasn't been any confirmed. At least last I saw, they had 6,000-ish files, and then they claimed to have access to one particular portal or something, but the hackers were claiming they had access to all PlayStation data, and it doesn't seem like that's the case. So if it is the case that they have access to all that data, that's huge and a big problem. It doesn't seem like that's what the hackers had, though. It seems like they got into some portal and downloaded a handful of useless files, and it hasn't really gone anywhere, but we'll see. What was that about 3 years? Oh, he was just saying that it's unacceptable that it took 3 years to fix the game. And I agree, like it should have launched that way. But we're not going to pretend that the current package is bad. That doesn't do us any good. That just harms your credibility discussing about it, you know? Do you think it's just a bluff? Probably. It's probably like a handful of teenagers. That guy that hacked into Rockstar and got all of that GTA 6 footage and stuff, wasn't he like 17, 16, 17? He's like a kid. And he did it with like a handful of his friends in the UK. Like, often these are just teenagers that are really savvy and figure it out. And it's wild. It's wild. Doesn't matter his age, he's in jail now. I'm pretty sure, didn't he get off? I think he got off with like a major slap on the wrist. Like, not a big deal at all. Maybe he was facing other charges that he went to jail for, but I'm pretty sure for the Rockstar hack, he just got like probation or something. It was like pretty hilariously stupid. Okay, let's do this first. We'll do AC Mirage launch trailer, and then we'll get into Alan Wake 2 stuff, okay? We'll do that. Yeah, they said he's autistic. Oh, so just It reminds me of King Cobra JFS, who like has talked about how he can just like go assault people and punch them for making fun of him, and then if they try to hit him back, he just says, "Oh no, you can't hit me. I'm autistic. It's a crime." And so he honestly thinks because he has Asperger's, he can just assault people and he can't get in trouble because he's autistic. That's what that reminds me of. Yes, I hacked into a multi-billion-dollar firm's servers and stole a bunch of data and did irreparable damage to their game that they're releasing and is the most anticipated game of all time. But I'm gonna play my my autism card and get off. That just seems crazy. Starfield or current Cyberpunk? Personally, for me, I enjoy current Cyberpunk more. It's my personal preference. You might prefer Starfield. That's okay. But that's my personal preference. Launch state, Starfield all the way. Starfield launched way better. It's not even close than Cyberpunk. But if we're comparing the games as they are today, personally, Cyberpunk, I think. I'm sorry I created the Colombian drug trade. I have generalized anxiety disorder. Yeah. Drop the charges. Let this man go free. Okay, let's see what we're dealing with the AC Mirage. They just dropped this like 2 minutes before we published the stream. This is their launch trailer. Let's see what we're dealing with. After I unmute it. Okay.
We work in the dark to serve the light.
I'm sorry, we're gonna watch the whole thing. I'm sorry, I just have to say it. I know this lady is like a very talented and well-known actress. I understand that. She was even a voice actress in Overwatch 2. I forget the name of the character. The one that fires like the sleeping dart thing, that one. So she's well known. At least it's not Megan Fox. That's good. That's a good point. But whenever I hear like actors that have really gravelly voices, it hurts my throat because I like think about it. It's like when you see a video of somebody tripping and falling and you feel that pain yourself, you know? It's that where my throat starts hurting out of sympathy. You know, there was the guy, sorry, I know this is ADHD, the stream, but I just have to show you. It was in Independence Day. And I don't know what the guy's name is. This guy. Do you guys remember him? He's like a well-known actor in Hollywood. I think he does a lot of musicals now. He plays like the mother in Hairspray, I'm pretty sure is his role. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else with gravelly voice. But this guy's voice, you remember this? Hold on.
Officials are reporting more ships have just bringing space. Just do it.
This guy.
Ma, listen, get your stuff together and head for Anastas. Don't argue with me, just go.
Like my throat hurts listening to that gravelly voice.
David, why'd I just send my mother to Atlanta?
You know, like my voice really hurts when I hear that. And hearing this actress, it's a similar phenomenon for me. I just like, I understand it's super gravelly and cool, but it hurts my throat just to think of what that must feel like to talk. I think he's a drag queen now. I'm pretty sure am I wrong? I think he is the guy that plays the mother in Hairspray on Broadway, or at least has for a long time. So I don't know, maybe he's not. But they usually have somebody that talks like that with a super gravelly voice play the mother in Hairspray. Very talented performers, but man, my throat hurts out of sympathy.
Bassem Ibn Ishaq, you have become one of us.
Yeah, I look for drama. Yeah, I'm chasing karma. See some things that
I swear to God, if this gets us copyright struck.
can't see.
In Baghdad, city of brilliant sun, one must uncover the darkness beneath.
Is it all just a mirage? Is it just a mirage? Is it just a mirage?
everything is as it seems.
Is it all just a mirage?
Is it just a mirage?
Is it just a mirage? Who knows? Who can say? I'm interested. I'm excited. We'll see. Am I hyped? No, I wouldn't say hyped, but I'm excited. I'm interested in seeing how it fully plays out. I already filmed a whole shocker, skeptical look video that'll go up while I'm out on vacation. So it's not poisoned by my having played the game or anything. I haven't played the game for a review yet. I played it at a preview event and I talk about that. But we go through all of the things that we know about it and concerning stuff, not concerning stuff, things I think it does well, things I think it does poorly. But we're going to just have to wait to see when the full game releases, because as of right now, we just don't know the details. But we will find out the details. Let me catch up on these super chats real quick before we shift into Alan Wake 2. Let's do this. Oh, that Kvebbelkopf thing. Hold on, get to that, Ranko. That's so funny that you bring that up. Russell, thank you for the super chat as well. Do you think there will be a Modern Warfare 4, 5, and 6 and so on, considering it feels like the Modern Warfare storyline is simply beginning, or will Modern Warfare 3 be the end of it? I think they're going to start pumping them out like that. Yeah, they'll do 4, and then they'll do 3 remastered, and then they'll do 5, and then they'll do 4 remastered, and then they'll do 6, and then they'll do 2 remastered again, and they're just going to keep doing that, because it's just... Call of Duty is one of those weird games where it releases, like 5 years go by. When it releases, everybody says it sucks. And then they get the newer one and they're like, oh, well, back then it was better. Like there's just no keeping people happy. I do think, what was it? It was I don't remember the game. Was it Terraria? I think it was Terraria, where a developer was at a GDC like talk, and he was giving this talk on how they balance the game and change stuff. Was it Terraria? I don't know. I don't remember what it was. No, it was like CSGO, I think. It was original CSGO. And they were saying how no matter what they did, people were always upset. If they changed just the UI, people would come back and be like, in the feedback and comments on the social media posts about the update, they'd be saying, oh, well, this is so much worse. My lag is terrible now. This is horrible. Even though they did not touch anything that would affect lag or latency or anything. So he said that for a couple of patches, he went in and changed it so that they just did a -50 to everybody's ping. And all of a sudden, like, people say, oh my God, this is so much better. I'm playing way better now. And all of a sudden, my gameplay is so much tighter. You guys worked some magic in that last update, even though it was just a placebo effect. So I think that there's always a little bit of that. Like, there's just a bias towards hating the new thing in the gaming space, unless you just straight up lie to players and trick them into thinking that it's doing something it's not. I thought that was very, very funny that they said that they used to do that, which is just hilarious. So hold on, let me catch up on these. Stefan, also thank you for the super chat. Hearing Witcher music on stream always makes me moist. Great choice. Also, what's the red book series behind you? Those are all the Witcher books. Those are all the Witcher books, and then those are the new 52. And then these are a bunch of like art books and stuff for various games. Let's see. Iron Will, thank you for the $10 super chat as well. Banishers got delayed until February. Seems a lot of games are coming out February, almost like they're trying to avoid something. GTA 6 March release confirmed. JK, love the stream. Thank you for that, Iron. And I think it's more just that they're realizing, for one, February is not the graveyard that it used to be. It used to be like 6-7 years ago that if you released in February, it was because your game was going to flop. And so they shoved it there where marketing was cheaper after Christmas, and they can just let it die. And because not much releases there, it's not going to have as much competition. But now there's so many games coming out that February gets packed in and of itself. It seems like the dead zones are like July. July is always super, super dead. So we will see kind of how it plays out. But I think it makes sense. They're giving themselves a little bit of extra like wiggle room. And I think that's the way to do it. I think they're going to have more success in February versus releasing now. So I think that it was a good move, frankly. And Rango, you should talk about the Kwebbelkop and AI situation. Let me pull that up in another tab. Yeah, we can talk about it. It's so freaking stupid. I just don't even know where to begin with it, but yeah, we will talk about it. I mean, what's really funny is that you're talking about a guy that has like 400,000 followers on Twitter, and he's posting stuff to Twitter that's getting like 20 likes, 30 likes, 5 likes, 14. Like, he built an audience. Yeah, and we'll talk about this, but he's doing AI react videos. So he's not even recording his own reactions. They're just using AI to generate the reactions for him. Then he puts it up. Is it cool? Sure. I don't know how entertaining it is, but we'll talk about that later. I'll put that on the to-do list. Okay, let's see. Need to buy them too. Oh, they're good. And the translations are really good too. I was worried about them because some people on the like Amazon reviews were saying these translations of the Witcher books were like, but no, they're actually really well done. I haven't come across anything where I was like, what? What do I think of the origami games? I am just going to be honest. I haven't played them. I know that they are like really well received. A lot of people love them. I just personally haven't played them myself. The WGA strike is over, but not SAG-AFTRA. Thoughts? I think this, I was talking to my barber about it actually yesterday. I think like, you know how every election period, like every election, there's one big topic that the whole election is kind of about. We're headed into another presidential election here in the States, and that means all these American companies, American political action groups and everything, they're all figuring out what that topic is going to be. And I think this time around, it's all going to be like unions, workers' rights, work remote, that kind of thing, fair wages. That's going to be the conversation. Whereas like 2020, it was all COVID. 2016, it was all immigration, build the wall, blah, blah, blah. 2012, I think a lot of it was like Russia with Obama and Romney. 2008, it was all about moving forward out of the Bush era, being anti-war, being progressive, and electing the first black president and all that. So every time an election comes along in the States, there's like a big wave of things happening. And right now, I think it's all just like union stuff. So not to like discuss it in detail, but I think that's what's happening. And as for like all of these groups now striking and doing all of it, it just lines up with that. I wish them the most success and the best luck. I do think it's insane that actors went from having like residuals on shows and stuff, and then Netflix came along with streaming and just broke it. So now there weren't residuals paid to actors. Like, I think it was Aaron Paul, the guy who played Jesse in Breaking Bad. He said he didn't make a penny from Breaking Bad being on Netflix. Like, I know you can say like, oh, actors are millionaires, who cares? But that's still crazy. Like, that's insane that they are shoving this show out to millions and millions of people like every day. And just a few years ago, they would have gotten paid for that if it was reruns on TV. But otherwise, like, if it's streaming, they don't get it. Like, I did a play, actually a couple plays, with this guy named Jonathan Farwell. And Jonathan Farwell is just a delight. Let me see if I can... Jonathan, here he is. Yeah, I did a couple plays with him. Jonathan Farwell. He is just a delightful human being. Just a delightful, delightful human being. He's 91 now. That's crazy. But this was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I did like On Golden Pond with him. I did a handful of plays with him. And he's just a delightful human being. But he was on Star Trek. So when he was on Star Trek, you can see he did a bunch of stuff back in like the 80s. Yeah, he was on Star Trek Next Generation and stuff. He still was getting residual checks from the episodes he was on Star Trek, like decades later. And it helped him to be able to like still live as an actor all these years later and decades later. Funnily enough, he made most of his money from, I think he said it was a glasses commercial for like lens crafters or something, because he had very striking eyebrows. You can kind of see it in these pictures. Like he just has very, very striking eyebrows. And so they hired him to do like glasses commercials and stuff. And he said that he made like $75,000 a year just from those commercials, which was just hilarious. Yeah, this is him in Star Trek, which is just funny. He was also on a bunch of soap operas and stuff. Really, really sweet guy. But he was a member of the union and stuff, and he was able to do it as a living because of those union contracts and residuals and stuff. And with streaming, it's just not a thing. Now it sounds like they made an agreement to settle it, but we'll see what the new agreement is. Yeah, music artists get paid off streams. I'm sure something similar can be worked out for actors based off streams. That's my understanding, and that's what the whole strike was about. Was like places like Netflix are where most of the TV shows and everything have moved to, and so there's a lot of like TV actors that you would think, like Roy from The Office. Like we all know that guy, and he's recognizable. You would think, oh, he's famous. He was in this super successful show. Surely he's pretty wealthy, right? Like, no, the dude actually is like making probably about the average American income, even though he's very, very successful in his field, which is just strange. And the whole point of the strike is that like these companies like Disney, Warner Brothers, Netflix, they are making billions of dollars and doing just fine, while cutting them out, the actors out that make all those shows possible, cutting them out of the deal entirely, you know, which is just weird. But it sounds like they've come to an agreement, and maybe that's going to change. Brayden, Luke, you're my favorite half gamer, skeptic, half tech bro, finance bro. Keep up the great work in gaming news / skeptic gamer takes. I will do that. I will do that, my friend. Thank you. I don't know. It seems like they're all losing billions right now. Yeah, I think like part of it is that Netflix for a long time, they just like produced anything and everything. No matter what, they just said yes and then produced it. So that was an oopsie. I think they needed to be a little bit more selective with their projects. And then also Netflix, and we all knew this was going to happen, like all of these platforms require tons of data and server infrastructure and stuff, and it's very, very expensive. So the only people that really win are like Amazon with AWS and like Microsoft with their cloud infrastructure. Like the server companies are doing great. The streaming companies are really, really struggling because it's just really expensive. So we'll see. Someone's getting paid, just not the actors. Yeah. And that's kind of where people were frustrated. And I think the numbers I saw, it wasn't even close. It was like the contract that the WGA was trying to negotiate for was going to be equivalent to like 500 or something $million. But the operating profits for that segment of like Disney's production companies for Disney Plus was like 5 or 6 times that amount. And so it's like, you guys can afford it. You just don't want to. And then like there were all those leaked transcripts of what some of the board of directors and people in the higher up positions at like Disney were saying. There were some of them saying, oh no, we're going to push this strike into the fall and winter. We need these actors and actresses and writers to start losing their jobs. Or I guess the writers specifically. We need them to start losing not just their jobs, but their homes, losing their cars because they can't make payments. That's when they'll come to the table and actually negotiate, he said, in good faith. But basically it just meant then they'll come and shut up and stop complaining. But yeah, it's just, it was shocking because the transcript got out and everybody's like, oh my God, that is like some That is some like crazy evil. What's the bad guy in Inspector Gadget? Whatever that guy's name is. Yeah, it's just crazy. Bob Iger. My understanding is the thing where Bob Iger said that was an AI deep fake. Because they had like a voice recording of him saying it, but it didn't sound right. And it came out, it was an AI deep fake. But the email came from like the head of like series production at Disney for Disney Plus or something. It was some guy that you've never heard of deep in the corporate structure of it, you know. Something Steve Jobs would say. Lol. Yeah, I mean, Steve Jobs, read his autobiography. Dude was cutthroat. Dude was insane. A perfectionist, clearly very successful, knew what he was doing, but yeah. Dude, the guy was probably not that much fun to work for. And I think we maybe forget that like a lot of these guys that are like running the world's most successful companies, they might not be the most fun to hang out with. You have to be mentally insane to become a billionaire. I don't think you have to be insane. I think a lot of them, and I'm saying this as somebody that's like spoken with billionaires when I was working in commercial real estate, like selling it to them and their companies. And what I will say is I think a lot of very hyper wealthy people are more sociopathic than you would, maybe not more, but are quite sociopathic. I was always stunned at just how cold it could often become, where it was just, hey, this apartment building right now is filled with mostly families and stuff. They're not going to respond well to like rent hikes of $100, $200. So you probably need to churn through those and not renew their leases and things and just find new tenants if you want to raise rents, because the current base just isn't going to do it probably. But it's just something where like you wait for the lease to expire over a year, you give them the warning, they can find a new place to live. It sucks for them because they have to go probably find someplace more expensive, but they move somewhere else that at least is going to fit them better. And these guys were just like, no, we're just going to go month to month, raise the prices, and if they don't do it, then we just evict them, whatever. And it was just like, oh, that's one way of doing it. That like, wow, okay. I mentioned their families, right? Yeah. It's like, yeah, just evict them. Who cares? Because they'd always just go, it's just business. And the moment you can justify everything with, it's just business, you can get away with a lot of crazy crap. You know? Like, oh, I know that the heating in this building is broken and it's the middle of winter. So the average room in that apartment building is like 40 degrees right now. 40 degrees Fahrenheit for everybody in the East. So it's like, it's 40 degrees. Everybody's freezing, bundled up with the blankets because heaters don't work and everything. What are we going to do? Like, we need to send an HVAC guy over there right now, pay the extra fee for the emergency service, get it fixed. These guys would just be like, no, I'm not paying the extra fee. We're going to wait till Monday, even though it's Friday night. We're going to wait till Monday. Those people can just go buy some extra blankets and I'll just fix it on Monday at the regular cost. And it was just like, well, no, like your tenants are freezing to death. Like, I think you should do it faster. He's like, they have ovens. They can turn the ovens on. Because the only repercussion is those people going to the housing authority or something and then being like, see, we're going to file a lawsuit against you for having living conditions that are not safe and standard, which you can do. You can sue the landlord for that. But guess who doesn't have the money to file lawsuits? People in cheap, low-cost apartments. They can't just go hire a lawyer. They don't have a lawyer on retainer, and these landlords know that, which is why they're just like kind of scummy people. It's why we called them slumlords and also occasionally scumlords behind their backs, because it was just toxic. It was just so toxic. And those people weren't even billionaires, to be fair. The slumlords were usually like they max out around like 100 million was their net worth, because you can't really build an empire of like hundreds of millions of dollars treating your buildings like that. Word gets around that you're the owner and nobody wants to own those buildings, so it doesn't usually work long term or on a large scale, but they were certainly there. But it just goes to show you, like, if you are a sociopath, you can do pretty well financially because you just don't care what you're doing to other people. If you have a conscience, it's going to be a lot harder. You can still make a lot of money. You can still be very successful. As I've said, like, the owner of the company I used to work for, Mark Lippitt, a joy. One of the nicest people I've ever met. Dude is loaded out the ass and one of the sweetest people I've ever met. Just a genuinely kind guy. He still to this day sends me texts for like, happy Thanksgiving, hope you're well, send me a picture of your family, please. Like, he's just a sweetheart. And like, I haven't seen him in person in, at this point, a few years or a couple years. But he's just a joy. And he's filthy rich. So it's not all of them, but certainly if you are a sociopath, you can get wealthy and successful much easier, you know. Anyway, Alan Wake 2. Sorry. Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. I don't even know what we're doing anymore. What's happening? And also Luke Bichu. I'm sorry, I have no idea. Hey Luke, are you going back to, or are you going to check out the upcoming Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader RPG in December? Yeah, that thing, I was just talking to Caleb about it actually. 40k Dark or Rogue Trader. Let's see. Yeah, this is a new Warhammer game.
Rogue traders, daring explorers who benefit from a unique style of freedom normally unheard of in the Imperium, with means to decide the fate of entire regions of space. Little can stop them in their pursuit of domination and power. And they do not venture alone. Their crew contains some of the galaxy's most unique denizens. Unsanctioned psychers, strange Xenos, servants of the Inquisition, and even space marines of the Adeptus Astartes. Ulfa is a lone space wolf survivor whose pack was defeated by the murderous Drukari. All of them are ready to follow you on the battlefield, where their unique skills can be the deciding factor between victory and defeat. But the rogue trader's true might lies in their personal void ship and the resource-rich worlds under their control. This is what makes them such dominant figures.
I mean, it basically looks like Warhammer XCOM, which is not like a bad thing necessarily. I don't think this is my cup of tea personally. I really like games that are like, I don't know, if this had more simulation elements, I could get more into it, but as is, it's probably not my thing. I do think that like Space Marine 2 looks awesome, and I think that'll be really interesting to check out. However, I just don't think that this is going to be for me. It's just not my kind of thing. But we'll see. I mean, maybe they'll release more trailers and it'll click for me and I'll be like, oh, I get it now. That's crazy. So. Okay. Are they going really hard on the 40k license this year? Yeah, they're also doing a lot to try and make the game more accessible. The 10th edition updates made it much more approachable, I think, for newbies. That's why I got into it. And we've gotten some other friends into it. So, like, even just something as simple as unifying the psychic and shooting phases, like, just that greatly streamlines it. But they're trying to get it set for more mainstream appeal. Video games are a great way to do that as well. And then they're also prepping for this Amazon show. So hopefully it's all just coming together at the same time. That's the hope. It's like Warhammer Baldur's Gate 3, but not really narrative, it seems. It seems like it's mostly just about the combat and stuff. We'll see. I still don't know why they haven't just gone and like ported the tabletop game directly to a video game form. I don't know why they haven't done that. Like, it's tailor-made for it. It would work great. They did it with Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering, you can just play on a tablet or your phone. Like, it's nothing. Like, and it converted great. And then every time they have updates or new card updates and stuff and balancing stuff, it just automatically pushes out to the app. And then you get people to buy the physical version of the game and the digital version. It's just endless money. I don't know why they don't do it, frankly. Like, seems like easy money. Have we talked about the Fallout 7 leak or Far Cry 7 leak? No, not yet. We are going to in just a bit once we get through this Alan Wake 2 thing. Zero knowledge of Warhammer. Where do I start? Best way to start, probably. Let's see. It is tricky because there's a lot. One of the best things that people love is like this channel, Play On. They do these 40K in 40 minutes where they will just have like a game where it's Custodes versus Thousand Suns, and it's an entire game of Warhammer that they play and edit down in 40 minutes. And so it gives you a good idea of how the game works functionally, but then you can also look up just general guides and how to play and stuff. It's easiest to get into with a friend though, especially if you know somebody that currently plays it. That's the best way to do it. And the other way you can do it is just go to the Warhammer store. If there's one near you, just search Warhammer store near me. You'd be surprised at how many there are out there. And just walk into the store, tell the person behind the counter, I want to get into this. I don't even know where to start. And they will help you. Like everybody they hire there is so passionate about it. It's always shocking. But yeah, these guys do very good work. A very good channel. Very, very good channel. Do I have to play Warhammer 1 through 39,999? You don't have to, but it would really help you get a grasp of the lore for sure. Henry Cavill's such a nerd. Yeah, he plays Custodes. Custodes are actually the army that's usually recommended for newbies. So not because they're bad or anything, but because they're cheap. They're one of the most affordable, if not the most affordable army. Because like a full army of Custodes is like 10, 15 minifigures. Like they're a very powerful army without many models. So they're affordable and they're pretty easy to understand and they're strong. So Custodes are great for beginners because you get an army that will perform well. Doesn't take a lot of like nuance or experimentation or expertise. And they're, again, affordable. So for somebody getting into the hobby before they want to commit thousands and thousands of dollars to multiple armies and stuff, they can just figure out if they like it. Grey Knights are also really good. Yeah. Not as lame as the Custodes. Custodes are just like, I don't even know what to compare them to or what would be analogous, but they're just really solid. Like they're affordable. They are stupid powerful. They did get a little bitty nerf where they changed how devastating wounds are calculated and distributed. So like that made them, I think, a little less powerful. Because basically, okay, we'll get into Alan Wake right after this, I promise. But basically, there's a thing called devastating wounds, and it's a thing that can be applied to a weapon, or that a weapon might have, or an ability could give it to a weapon on a character or a unit or whatever. And devastating wounds, how that happens is if you roll a bunch of die and it lands on a 6 during the wound roll, because you have to wound to like hit, you have to wound to roll, and then they get to roll dice to see if they block it with their armor. And with Custodes, they have a thing that's like a block against mortal wounds, which mortal wounds are supposed to just go through everything and basically automatically wound you. But Custodes have a thing that let them just not take that, which is insane. Or roll a dice and it's like a 50-50 shot that they might not take it. But devastating wounds, you roll a 6 on that wound roll, it's a devastating wound. And it used to be that that's just like a mortal wound and it just goes straight through. But they changed it, so now it just skips armor saves and everything else, but it's not called a mortal wound. So Custodes have this really cool ability that now just doesn't apply to like 3/4 of the stuff that it used to apply to. So a lot of Custode players like Henry Cavill are pissy about it. Anyways, let's refocus. There should be a Luke Siemens live viewer bingo where we have random topics on the bingo card and the audience tries to get Luke off topic into something that will get them a bingo. Richard, that is a fantastic idea. That is freaking hilarious. You guys should do that. That's awesome. I love it. It'll be like a whole new mini game in the stream. I love it. Okay, let's do this. So, Alan Wake 2. It is coming. It's coming at the end of October, I believe the 27th. So as of the day we're filming this, it is like exactly a month away. So a lot of people are really excited about it. They just did a final preview where they invited some creators and press out to try the game or do remote play. I don't know how they did it, but they got the chance to play it for a handful of hours to see what the game is like. And I think this is always great. It gives media a chance to actually get their hands on a game before it launches so they can feel if it actually comes together, because there's so much that can be like described in a video or a marketing thing, but once you actually play the game, it could totally change. So I think that's a good thing that they do this. But IGN just went, we're going to see what they thought of it, what they say about it, and then we're going to also talk about a handful of the other things about Alan Wake 2, such as news of a performance mode, why it took so long to build, etc. Dilly dally. Let's see what they thought.
Disappointing. The pessimistic side. Part of me worried that Alan Wake 2 would be disappointing. The pessimistic side of my brain feared that it would be a situation where, sure, the sequel we've waited over a decade for was finally getting made, yay, but what if it didn't live up to the cult classic legend of the 2010 original? After all, anticipation, particularly so many years worth of it, has a way of overpowering the reality of the thing that you've been waiting for. Though Alan Wake himself is rewriting reality as he seeks escape from the dark place in Alan Wake 2, the reality of the game in front of me needed no rewriting. I played a few hours of it across 2 different missions, and what I've experienced is fantastic, simultaneously feeling almost nothing like the original from a gameplay perspective, but also 100% Alan Wake.
I do this too. I think we all do it, where we say something that really doesn't make any sense, but it sounds cool, so we say it anyways. Alan Wake 2 both feels like Alan Wake and also totally doesn't. It's like, what does that even mean? You know, like, I don't see what does that mean? And I've said it before too. I've said like, I don't know what an example would be, but like Starfield is both a great game and an utterly lackluster game. You know, it's like, you're just saying 2 conflicting things, but it sounds cool, so we'll just go with it. It's just funny to me.
In the play, it's where the devil rewrites reality whilst God is asleep. The devil was our star role.
We've written a lot and shown plenty of Alan Wake 2 during this month's exclusive IGN First coverage, so I want to focus solely on my personal thoughts of Remedy's long-awaited sequel on both a macro and micro level after finally getting to play it.
Good, a macro level. I'm going to try to boost the quality too. I have a feeling this game graphically, of course, is stunning, but I have a feeling that it's going to look even better, like significantly better, once we actually see it ourselves. Just because with this many smooth gradations of color and gray and everything, this is like a nightmare for video encoding. So unless they're filming something at like a stupid bit rate, it's always going to look kind of grainy. Whereas if you're playing this in person, it's not compressed at all. It's just straight to the display, and I think it'll look a lot better. So I think it looks really good as is. So I'm sure in person, it's just outrageous.
I've enjoyed almost everything Remedy's ever made, but Alan Wake 2 feels like I'm watching an already decorated developer level up before my eyes.
They say if a sauna doesn't fix what ails ya, you're a goner.
They also say silence is golden.
Before I get into the specifics of
We're in towels outside with a random lady staring at us. Can we just not talk, please? Can you just leave me alone, Dave?
the 2 missions I played, I want to talk about the visuals. To my eyes, Alan Wake 2 is one of the most next-gen looking games that I've seen yet. Remedy's in-house Northlight tech shines here, with lighting, texture detail, and especially character faces combining to craft a strikingly beautiful game.
There are things that go bump in the night.
But none of that would matter if Alan Wake 2 weren't fun to play. And thankfully, if the 2 missions I played are any indication, it's riveting. The story is clearly deep, layered, and engaging. That much was obvious even though my demo threw me right into the middle of the game.
Wake says the story will change reality around us. If that's true, then I need to know what's real and what's fiction.
My first mission was FBI agent Saga Anderson's third. You'll be able to swap back and forth between Saga and Alan at will, so her third could be your, say, 8th if you decide to play a bunch of Alan missions first.
That's a lot of numbers. Oh, baby. Oh. Okay, hold on. Do we need MS Paint? No.
Hey, I'm looking for Ilmo Cascella.
In it, she had to wander around a flooded town that, per the reality being rewritten by Wake but not the actual reality she knows, she resides in at a trailer park.
The flooding is even worse here.
I can already tell this game story is going to give me a headache. Does anybody know if you need to go through the first game, like, fresh to grasp what's going on in this one? I would assume so. But, oh, man.
More like underwatery.
From watching Ati sing at the rec center, and if you've played Control, Ati may look familiar, to searching for clues to Wake's mystery at the abandoned Coffee World theme park, it's quickly obvious that Alan Wake 2 has nothing else if not atmosphere. While I knew going in that this sequel was leaving action-adventure gameplay behind for pure survival horror, I didn't know quite how much Alan Wake 2 would lean into clever puzzle solving.
What's the combination?
People hate the puzzles, Zilma. Why not just use keys?
One at Coffee World tasked me with finding a safe code, which had to be deduced by using not super obvious context clues in the room the safe is located in. Another involved finding a particular item using a clue and then analyzing the environment to find the rest of the information I needed when I located it. I hope the rest of the game has as many fun puzzles as this mission does.
This is the cult's hideout. Their headquarters, even?
Combat, meanwhile, is given weight by being slow and deliberate, as you'd expect in a survival horror game. Just like in the first Alan Wake, you'll need to make the Taken vulnerable by burning them with your flashlight and then finishing them off with your firearms. Getting outnumbered is a recipe for a quick death, and neither Saga nor Alan can absorb much damage. They're just normal people, after all. You'll pick up clues to the greater mystery at hand around the environment and from talking to townsfolk, and then you'll need to piece those clues together yourself on the clue board, accessible anytime inside Saga's mind. This was admittedly quite cumbersome to navigate at first, but once I got comfortable with it, I really enjoyed mapping everything out on the wall and laying out what I'd learned.
Alan, listen.
Okay. I mean, so far, I think I still am feeling the same way I felt when I watched the first gameplay trailer thing that they did, which is that all the gunplay looks super stiff. But my understanding is that that's not really the focus of this game, which in that case, it's just like, if it's a side thing that you're going to do occasionally when you get swarmed, I'm okay with that. I would hate it though, just based on what I'm seeing, if there's like huge chunks of the game that are just hallways of doing this. Shine flashlight, shoot with kind of a crappy gun animation, you know, like, and then get stunned, have to back up a little, try to shoot, get stunned again. You know, that just very clunky. Very clunky. But again, it doesn't seem like that's the core of the gameplay loop here, so hopefully it's fine. Why is the reviewer yelling? That's the new thing. It came from TikTok, where everybody talks like this. It's weird. Nah, it's just how this guy talks. But haven't you noticed on TikTok, that's how everybody does it? Have you seen World of Tanks? It's a really great game, and today I'm gonna play it while eating a hamburger. You know, it's weird. I don't know why they do it. Everybody's yelling all the time.
As Alan, I played a chunk of his 5th mission, titled Room 665, and that's when things really started to get weird, because I was in the dark place. Graffiti everywhere warned Wake with "Don't write" messages, while a ringing payphone begged our hero to answer.
The payphone was ringing again. The mystery caller was back at it.
And then a neon sign beckoned the tortured writer to the Ocean View Hotel.
The Ocean View Hotel. My destination.
In this mission, Alan's got a lamp that can instantly switch reality. Don't worry, it'll be explained when you play the game from the beginning, meaning that scenes in front of you can be instantly changed, opening new pathways before your eyes. And when he picks up clues, he can rewrite reality in his mind's version of the caseboard called the plot board.
The plot element I found would drive the story forward.
You blink and the scene in front of you will shift. As Remedy has done in the past, live action scenes also work their way into the story in organic and unexpected ways, rather than the siloed game/live action divide that Quantum Break had, though I've been asked not to show any of them here. I can say that these are a big plus in my brief experience thus far, as they add another layer of mystery and intrigue to a story that's not exactly lacking in that valuable commodity as it is. It's almost difficult to put my finger on exactly why I enjoyed what I played of Alan Wake 2 so much. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll say it this way. I suppose it starts with the story, as there's way more to get invested in here, narratively speaking, than most games in the survival horror genre.
Sometimes a quaint small town, sometimes a hulking metropolis.
That the player is actively involved in shaping that story through connecting clues on the caseboard and rewriting reality as Alan only deepens my attachment to Wake's world and, indeed, his fate. The fantastic graphics certainly don't hurt, and the creepy mood and unusual tone that mixes horror, drama, and occasional absurd comedy all combine to make Alan Wake 2 feel wholly unique.
I could use that shotgun.
I can't wait to experience the rest of Alan's new nightmare, and if we're really lucky, maybe this is only the beginning rather than the end. For more on Alan Wake 2, don't miss our exclusive 11-minute gameplay video, along with our Remedy Connect.
My gut is telling me that this is going to be like beloved by people that loved the original game. But for new players, I don't think it's going to be that captivating. That's what my gut's telling me. I would love to be wrong. I would love for everybody to just become obsessed with yet another game. Of course, like, that's always great. but I have a feeling like this might not have the widespread appeal that perhaps some people are expecting it to be. It's just my guts telling me that. Yeah, this doesn't look very appealing to me. I guess we can do a poll. Let's do a poll. Alan Wake 2. How do I even do this? I don't even know. Are you... Yes. No. Undecided. Let's just see what you guys say to this. I just have a feeling like it's gonna play well for people that are familiar with the lore and everything. It seems to follow in the same vein as Control did, with very like meandering and non-specific storytelling, which some people love. A lot of people also hate it. And, you know, Control did that. The original Alan Wake 2 was also quite vague in how it handled stuff. So we'll see. Like, I'm interested. But I think when we talk about the masses, I think it might not be... It might not be as overwhelming as we thought. Or as it might look. Why can't I see the poll? Here, I can hit end, and then it'll post the results in the chat. So, are you excited / going to buy Alan Wake 2 day one? No, 46%. Yes, 28%. Undecided, 24%. Now, I didn't leave it up very long, but yeah. Samaya, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. I love Charlotte games, and this looks similar. I'm down. Yeah, I think it's going to, like I said, for the people that like this kind of game, it's going to be amazing, and they're just gonna obsess over it. But for newbies, I don't think it's going to be that captivating as far as I can tell. Loved Quantum Break, but that was more linear, I think. Control felt like a tech demo, cool gameplay they came up with, but then had to figure out a story to explain it. Yeah, personally, I think the reason why I didn't connect with Control was because of the storytelling. It was just very... I don't know. I didn't connect with it. It didn't do it for me. Yeah, nothing against it. It just didn't connect with me. To be fair, it's pretty much directly catered to Twin Peaks / Stephen King fans. Yeah, and I think there's something to be said for servicing the fans and what they're looking for and what they like, and I think that they're going to be successful in that. But I think the more I see of Alan Wake 2, the more I feel like this is something that fans... People who are already fans are going to love it, and then newbies and people coming in from the outside might not connect with it as much. And it's going to leave people really confused because they're like, Alan Wake 2 is amazing. How do you not like it? And people are like, I don't know, man. It just didn't work for me. Just didn't. I think that's going to be a case for a lot of people. Do I like Remedy? Personally, I think Remedy is a top tier studio. I think that they have, especially in terms of tech, like they have some of the most impressive graphical tech in the industry. They're up there with Naughty Dog as far as I can tell in terms of graphical fidelity. I don't like the way they tend to approach stories because like that message just said, it feels like Richard said, it feels like they often come up with really cool tech, really cool gameplay stuff that's like interesting and different and weird. and then they have to rework the story to fit around that, and sometimes it feels pretty contrived. And I feel like they also do the same thing Kojima does, which is when you don't really know how to explain something, you just don't, and then chalk it up to mystery. And I personally don't love that. I think it's because I got scarred with the show Lost, where they did that, where they had all of these crazy plot twists and like cliffhangers and everything for everybody to get captivated by, and then they just never explained it. And I think watching that show as a kid, that scarred me. You know, that hurt me personally, deep down in my heart song. One thing that is cool though is that they, even though they designed it as a 30 FPS game, they are apparently bringing a performance mode to the game, which is cool. I think that's cool. Let's see. A follower asked if this meant performance mode would be locked at 60 with graphical detail reduced to compensate, or would it simply have an unlocked frame rate that aims for 60 in a best case scenario? And they said that the communication director, Thomas Puha, said that they're still tweaking it. So they haven't settled on exactly how it will work, but it seems like they are at the very least going to have an uncapped frame rate for performance mode, and then maybe target a lower resolution, which is cool. You know, they designed it for 30 for being the most graphically crazy game possible, and then they're also bringing a performance mode. I think that's great to see. They probably learned from all the crazy drama that was largely unnecessary surrounding like Starfield being locked at 30 on console, and they were like, hey, we'll just work on it, try to get it added in. I think with Starfield though, like the reason it was so dramatic was because it has a first person mode if you want to use that, and I think most people probably do because the third person shooting is kind of sucky. It just doesn't work super great. But first person shooters at 30 FPS are tough. Those are tough. Like I can't really play first person shooters at 30. They make me motion sick. It just is what it is. So I think that drama was more justified. I think being a third person adventure game or third person suspense horror, like detective noir type of game, I think this game could have gotten away with it much easier. But either way, it's cool to see a performance mode being brought, and I think that's great. And then as for other stuff, I tried to read through this to figure out what they were saying, like what their goals were, why it took so long to get Alan Wake 2 out the door. And they just kind of have an extended discussion of wanting to take their time with it. They wanted to do some big and bold stuff. Yeah, I would say the first game was more of an action-oriented game, and I think that was because of the tools we had available to us at the time and the story that we were looking to make. And then this time around, of course, they're shifting gears a little bit. So it's an interesting read. I encourage you to check it out. I don't think we'll go through the whole thing here, but it's an interesting read. Encourage you to check it out if you are interested in kind of the behind-the-scenes production process of Alan Wake 2. Let's see. Go up to that. IGN got a new video from AC Mirage. Was it the one that Ubisoft, the trailer they just dropped, or is it more gameplay? You are where you sneak. Okay, let's see this, and then we'll shift into the Far Cry 7 news. Let's see what we're dealing with. You are where you sneak in Assassin's Creed Mirage. Personally, I have no idea what that means. Let's find out.
Assassin's Creed Mirage is a return to the classic Assassin's Creed formula. You play as Basim, a cunning street thief with nightmarish visions that seeks answers and justice in 9th century Baghdad. But to become a master assassin, you need to know your way around the open city. After all, you are where you sneak.
I feel like that was something Ubisoft asked them to say, and they're like, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, but just say it. You are where you sneak. Again, what does that mean? I have no idea. Like, you are a bale of hay. You are Baghdad. You are a rooftop. Like, again, what does that mean?
Presented by Assassin's Creed Mirage. Known as the Market District, Karch offers a variety of goods from China, Africa, and Italy to Peruse. This area to the southeast of the Round City is where you'll find the Great Garrison, the Monastery of Virgins, a key Christian location on the map.
Yeah, baby. We're going to spend a lot of time there.
And the main landmark, the Great Bazaar. Located to the north of the Round City, Harbia is the industrial district of Baghdad, where the atmosphere is dull and grim. This is a place of slaves, dock workers, orphans, and thugs. Here you'll find the Nestorian Monastery, the Syrian Gate Prison.
There it is, as cruel and unforgiving as I remember.
And places of power like the Great Mosque. Abbasiyah is the cultural district located on the western side of Baghdad. This is a calm and peaceful area featuring the House of Wisdom. Scholars, philosophers, scientists, and astronomers gather knowledge from the Empire and beyond in the Sanctuary of Information.
I am honored to make your acquaintance.
Good to see more young people enjoying the House of Wisdom.
This is what I was talking about in my I tried AC Mirage early video. When I said that, like, graphically and in terms of like the camera angles, the cinematic camera being totally missing again, it feels really outdated. And I don't know if this is because the team that's building this didn't have access to the cinematic camera they used in Odyssey, because Odyssey was made by a separate team. I would think they'd all share it. But Valhalla was missing the cinematic camera they developed for Odyssey, even though it was way better than what Valhalla used. And this is using the same setup as Valhalla, where it's just like a static camera or a camera that you can swing around that pivots off of a point generated between the two characters talking, but they don't transition into like a cutscene model like in Odyssey when you talk to an NPC. They stay with the gameplay model of the character, and so they just have this blank expression and dead stare. And like, will it ruin the game? No, but it feels really outdated, especially because Odyssey in 2018 did this so much better, you know? And it's not like we're comparing, oh, well, Starfield is not great because they do this thing that this other studio did differently. We're talking about, like, apples to apples. The same company, Ubisoft, did this better 5 years ago. Like, clearly better. And it seems like a big step down. And I think it's because they developed Valhalla at the same time they were working on Odyssey. So the Odyssey team had the cinematic camera. Valhalla wasn't being developed with the cinematic camera, though. And because this is made in the same tool set as Valhalla, they still don't have that cinematic camera, even though it's way better. I just wish that they would have figured it out. Because, I mean, again, it's just way better. It's way better. That cinematic camera in Odyssey is so much better than this, than what, like, I mean, like, even it's directly comparable to like Fallout 4's cinematic camera, which I know we didn't love the voice protagonists and the dialogue options and stuff there, but the camera work, at least while you're talking to NPCs and quest givers and stuff, way better than what we got in like Skyrim, and certainly way better than what we got with Starfield. It just feels like a huge step down for some reason.
Your acquaintance.
Good to see more young people enjoying the House of Wisdom.
Other key locations include the Hammam, the Bimarstan Pharmacy, and the Dome of the Ass.
Hey, shout out to the Dome of the Ass, baby. So they've got like the Temple of Virgins or whatever, and then they have the Dome of the Ass. That's crazy. One thing, yeah, you mentioned it's optimized for iPhone. I will be honest, I really don't want to swap iPhones. I'm happy with my 14 whatever. However, I know that a video where I try AC Mirage, I tried AC Mirage on an iPhone, so you don't have to. I know that video is going to do well. And honestly, that video, if we can get like a sponsor on it, probably pays for the new phone. So I'm like, should I just do it? And they're also bringing Death Stranding and Resident Evil 4. So I think there's videos to be made on it. But everything I see about the new iPhone is like, it just keeps getting worse. You know? Just keeps getting worse. Leave that to Joraptor. Joraptor doesn't really do those kinds of videos. He doesn't really do them. He does like 10 tips and tricks for X game. But I don't think he does the kind of thing like, I bought a freaking iPhone to test this. So yeah. I think it's up to me if I want to do it. It's up to me. Tax write-off. Yeah. Well, and I mean, worst case scenario, I get the damn thing and then I film the videos and then just return the iPhone. Like, just keep the box. Just keep the box. iPad Pro M2 support Mirage. Yeah. I like, I'll just get the iPhone. We'll do it quickly and maybe I can just return the iPhone because I don't want it. I'm happy with mine and I don't want a phone that's going to like be super fragile and I'm good. I'm good. And if I can avoid spending like $1,200 on a phone, I don't want to spend $1,200 on a phone that is like barely any different than last year's. Like barely. Oh, it's got USB-C. Well, I charge with MagSafe. Who cares? Like, I'm not filming ProRes on the damn thing. Who cares? But it can play AC Mirage. I doubt very well, but it can. You know? It can. And people complain gaming computers cost too much. It is funny to me though that somebody will spend $1,200 on a gaming PC and they have no problem spending $60 on a video game for it, but they spend $1,200 on a phone and they're like, "Oh, but I'm not going to pay more than $1 or $2.99 for a game on my phone." So of course you end up with like mobile game monetized out the ass garbage when I guess they're going to try to start bringing like Death Stranding and Resident Evil 4 Remake and a bunch of games like that to the iPhone. And in the next few years, maybe they get the performance on the iPhone up to the point of like what the Series S is able to do. And maybe we'll start to see like Cyberpunk ported to the iPhone. That would be crazy. I mean, that would be wild. But I think that's where it's moving. It makes sense. Like consoles get updated once every 8 years, basically. They might have mid-gen refreshes like for the PS5 Pro, but these things get updated every year. So it makes sense that they'd be able to make iterative improvements and maybe by mid-generation have caught up to what the console was able to do. So it's not shocking to me. Also Android. I think the problem with Android is that if you upload a game to the Play Store, I'm not sure if you can set it so it's only supported by X phone or if it's something where there's guidelines with that. I have no idea. But it's certainly like this Tab 9 Ultra is more powerful than the phone. Like I should be able to play any of these games on that, but I'm not sure how it will work.
The Round City is Baghdad's seat of power, featuring stone and wood houses, lush gardens, fountains, and enameled bricks. This location features the Shurta, headquarters of the police and intelligence.
Derwish always warned me I would be dragged to the Shurta. Who would have imagined I would walk in willingly?
The post office, the Masalam court, and the zoo. These locations are sure to impress even the most adept travelers, though they pale in comparison to the grandeur of the Kalipal Palace and its gardens. Alamut holds the Fortress of Assassins, the famed home base of the Order during the 9th century. Although still in construction, this is where the Hidden Ones train and strategize for their missions in the region and beyond. Which district are you most excited to explore? Let us know in the comments. Assassin's Creed Mirage is available for pre-order on...
I think it looks great. I mean, I think it's cool to see them return to recreating historical locations again. That's all I've wanted to see them do for a while, and it seems like they're actually going back and doing it. So I'm here for it. I do think maybe the secret benefit of Mirage is that we're gonna go and we're gonna have freaking AC Mirage release, and then we're gonna get AC Red, and I think AC Red is gonna blow a lot of people away with how it looks and plays. I think that's gonna be a huge leap compared to Mirage. So maybe it's part of like the grand scheme of lower expectations with Mirage, and then with AC Red, they just come out with a giga hammer and just smash expectations because it's going to play like a next gen game that they've been working on for a while. Because again, remember, Mirage is basically built with a tool set for a game from 2020. And it was like pretty good, but wasn't like, it was also cross-generational and like it just wasn't cutting edge, you know? So I think we're going to see a pretty sizable leap, and I'm excited for that. You should always be skeptical. Yeah, absolutely. You should always be skeptical. I'm not telling you to pre-order or get hyped or anything, but I do think that AC Red is going to surprise people with how big of a leap it is. Mark it as a prediction. That's my stance. I know, right? Bedtime, it's crazy. Time flies when you're having fun. Sure does. Sure does. Okay, let's talk about Far Cry 7, finally. Let's do this, finally. So, here we are. Exclusive from Insider Gaming, Far Cry 7 story details outlined. Now, I want to be upfront and clear with all of this because some people obviously will be like, I don't want to hear spoilers. That's totally fine. This is leaks. These things are subject to change. And one thing that has been rumored for a while is that Ubisoft actually goes in and occasionally leaks this stuff intentionally to see reactions. And then if reactions are negative, they might pivot and change some stuff. So you just never really know. You never know. We're going to talk about it because they don't really talk about like specific storyline stuff. I mean, vaguely they do. They talk about mechanics, they talk about the overall plot, but pretty much everything they mention would be seen on the back of the box when you buy the game. So I just want to be clear that like this isn't going to ruin your time with the game, I don't think. Is cursing allowed in chat? I don't care as long as it's not like ridiculous, but YouTube's auto mod tools might care. I can't control what YouTube automatically blocks or shows. So I honestly have no idea what they'll do. But let's look at this together. Let's go through this. Insider Gaming has learned new details on Ubisoft's next mainline Far Cry entry following our exclusive report in January. The next game, which we'll refer to as Far Cry 7, is internally known as Project Blackbird. It's scheduled to be released in fall of 2025. So they're taking a good long while with this one. The game will be developed by Ubisoft Montreal and will move away from the Dunia engine into Snowdrop. Also, major shift. Maybe that means that we see a really big change in that kind of Ubisoft face that we all know and love, where all of the characters and NPCs in all of these games kind of look like siblings. It's gonna be a whole thing. An alleged leak of Far Cry 7 surfaced earlier this year, suggesting the game will be dubbed, quote, Far Cry Rise, trying to get away from the numbered titles, which is something that also Ubisoft has done with Assassin's Creed, going away from like, you know, Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, 4, Black Flag. Once they hit Unity, they just said, okay, we're going to start using names instead, which is typically a good move. I think it makes it more approachable to broader audiences. It's one of the reasons I think Final Fantasy 16, it's a little intimidating to new players who have never played a Final Fantasy game before to see a 16 next to the game, because they're like, oh my god, do I have to play the other 15 to grasp this? You know, it's just an unnecessary headache when you can just name it something else. So I would totally believe that they would go with a new naming convention. It will take place on a fictitious tropical island called Kimsan, which can be found in the Yellow Sea next to Korea. According to the leaker, Insider Gaming was told by its sources that this leak is entirely inaccurate, so we won't be diving into more pieces of information from this rumor. So, ignore all of that. Ignore all of that. I still would not be surprised if they change the name and they go away from 7, but as for all of this other stuff, they're saying that it's not accurate. Speaking with sources, it's understood that the next entry to the series will be a non-linear story. Interesting. With the story being centered around rescuing the player's kidnapped family. It was said that the game's plot revolves around a wealthy family that has been kidnapped by a conspiracy group called the Sons of Truth. Oh. While exact, finite details are subject to change due to the game's stage of development. It was said that the premise of the campaign is for the player to rescue their entire family within a specific time frame. Currently, so at this stage of development, the current in-game timer stands at 72 hours or 24 hours in real time, but the timer can be paused when the player enters one of their safe houses, it was said. Interesting. What this immediately made me think of was Dead Rising. You guys remember those old games? Do I have one installed right now? I made the mistake of showing my Steam library like a couple weeks ago, and I didn't realize that I have like a bunch of stuff installed that I cannot show because we're under NDAs for it. So I'm going to be very careful this time around not showing. Yeah, Dead Rising. I do have it installed because I want to play it for Halloween. We might do some videos on it. But Dead Rising is like an old school zombie game that I think is good fun. If you don't remember Dead Rising, like this old game, does this ring a bell? Now this operated under a very similar mechanic where you had an actual in-game timer that you had to stick to. And if you did not complete the story within that timeline, time until helicopter arrival, you had 59 hours, 59 minutes in the game, which I think it wasn't that long. It was like 10 hours or 11 hours or 12 hours or something. It wasn't a crazy amount of time, but in real world time, it was like, again, 10, 11 hours. But you would go through, complete the story during that time, and it worked pretty well to keep some hustle. It kind of was a constant point of stress and concern because you had to keep up on it and you had to really be focusing on what you were doing, or you could just totally ignore it and just be like, it's whatever, and just dick around and have fun. And that's totally fine. And they encourage you, like if you got one of the main story characters killed, they're like, oh, oops, story failed. Now you just get to screw around in this zombie apocalypse in this mall and do whatever you want. And they just let you do whatever you wanted. And it was actually pretty cool. So I'm not opposed to like timers in games. I think they can give you hustle. And I think when done properly, they can actually create some really unique gameplay interactions. But yeah, I've covered wars, Yeah. So I think this is one of those things that immediately sounds like, oh, what? But I actually think that this could be interesting. And it's such a departure from what they've done elsewhere. I'm interested. I'm intrigued, shall we say. So I'm not opposed to this. I saw some people commenting on like X that people were like, oh no, it's just going to be a crappy timer and then they're going to sell you an extension for $5 or something. And let me be clear, if they do that and they sell you like an extra 5 hours in game for $5 or something, that will actually be ridiculously stupid. Like that is freaking dumb. And we will tease them together proudly for that. But unique gameplay mechanics and ideas, I'm interested. Oh, don't do that, Luke. Don't call it X. Call it Twitter. Don't give in. Sorry, it just slipped off my tongue. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Let's see. Far Cry 7's non-linear story means that family members do not need to be rescued in order, and some family members can be killed, which has an impact on the story. While details are still a little murky, it's understood that the goal is to take down the Sons of Truth, and in order to complete the game 100%, you'll need to rescue all of your family members safely. To find your family members, it was said that Far Cry 7 introduces a new interrogation mechanic to the game, which doesn't necessarily mean you'll get the information you need from the enemy. Sometimes the enemy will give up the information, sometimes they'll lie, stay quiet, or even sometimes escape, it was said. Ubisoft has been sporadic on their game announcements as of late, with the likes of The Division 3 being randomly announced in a PR email, so it's unclear when official information will be released, but we'll make sure to let you know once we know more. It's a departure for sure. What I find so funny about like people on X or Twitter like losing their minds about all this is like, what has everybody been begging for years from Ubisoft? Something different than just reskins of games they released a decade ago. And this is a step towards that, and people still lose their minds and are like, no, don't do that. Make Far Cry 7 and make it normal. You know, like, innovation requires risk. And honestly, like, if Ubisoft wants to risk it and do something a little weird and different, like putting timers on it to save your family within a set period of in-game time, I'm willing to try it. I'm open to it. I'm not going to like dismiss it just because it's different, you know? I'm willing to embrace it. I want to see it. Far Cry 6 was amazing. For me, I think, if I remember correctly, I gave Far Cry 6 an 8 when I was trying to do numbered scores. And I did that because, one, Giancarlo Esposito is phenomenal. And two, I think mechanistically the game was bigger and more varied than it had ever been before. It still certainly was fatigued from the previous games. I don't think the story was as compelling or captivating as other releases, but I had a good time with it. I was glad I played it. It was good. Wasn't great, wasn't amazing, wasn't a masterpiece, but it was good. And I think I would stand by that. I think it was mechanistically the best the franchise had ever been, but it was extremely, extremely fatigued, and people are just like kind of done with that same formula. At least if they're done with it. They're still buying it, and it still sells millions of copies, of course, but they would like something fresh and different. A Triumph? No, that's Red Dead. I'm tired of the bright colors, lights of every Ubisoft game. They need to go dark, Pioneer, Stalker, dark. I do think, well, I do agree that like the constant purple crystals and bright pink colors and stuff, I'm just kind of sick of that. So I agree they could benefit from shaking it up. Samaya, thank you for the super chat as well. Non-linear story and RPG elements make more sense for Far Cry than Assassin's Creed, I think. Yeah, I think so. I think Assassin's Creed benefits from big set pieces, from crazy city recreations and stuff. And I think their obsession with trying to make basically The Witcher 3 Assassin's Creed edition is just... it's not going to work with that. So I would agree. I think Far Cry fits it nicely. But interesting leaks. Again, like, it's easy for us to poke fun and maybe tease them about it for doing like timer stuff. I'm willing to try it. I'm open to it. And if it's something different and really wacky, it might end up being one of my favorite things they've ever done. It might also fail utterly terribly. But what we do know is that they're giving this team a lot of time to work on it. And that's one of the most bare bones basic elements required to make a really good game, is to give the devs time to do it. So we shall see. If you have to actively look for your family members in Far Cry 7 outside of the main story, kind of like Mercenaries, the timer would be a detriment. I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's like Mercenaries. My understanding is, imagine like Far Cry 5. Remember the zones for each of the like underlings of the main villain? My guess would be that it's like they say that they're keeping your family in different districts spread out, so you can't just go to one place and save them all. So they have your family spread out and hidden, and each zone or district of the map that you go to, you'll explore, look around, and you will try to find clues as to where your family is with those interrogations and all that. So I'm guessing that's how it's going to work. I'm guessing. But we'll see. I mean, again, and it could change. It could change. That's the other piece that just has to be remembered. This is what's being leaked now, but it might not be the same. Taylor, thank you for the super chat as well. Hey man, curious if you've been following classic hardcore WoW at all. My buddies and I have been having a blast with it. I have not been following it actively or like playing it. I do remember there was that there was that guy, the clip went viral because he went in and like they were doing the final whatever raid, and he had one of the most important jobs in the whole raid, which was to like keep one of these guys in the corner or something. And then he led the guy back and he killed everybody like all at once. I don't really understand it, but Asmongold did this little reaction to it. I don't really understand it, but
there aren't people on behind? Is that not how they do it?
You guys remember this?
I don't even know. Why is Sir Zelia?
Stack up, guys. Stack up for the meteor. In.
Stack now.
Why is Zelia? Where's he going? Wait.
Mark
Zeliak is in the wrong spot.
What the hell is Zeliak doing?
This guy's trolling, actually.
Oh my god!
You're a fucking loser. Taunt Zeliak and run it away. Run Zeliak away.
He's trolling a Four Horsemen?
So my understanding is that this guy Zeliak or whatever, he is extremely powerful, and the only way you can do this is if you keep him far away from the main group over here. So everybody huddles up, everybody has their job in this guild to go and fight this final boss encounter, and he ended up walking Zeliak or whatever over to everybody else, and you're going to see how quickly they die.
You should have already death wished. Dude, you're actually a
He's fucking
dead.
griefing. Holy shit.
Look how many of them died instantly. And this is hardcore. So again, if your character dies, they're gone. It's over.
Oh my god!
You're a fucking loser. Taunt Zeliak and run it away. Run Zeliak away.
He's trolling a Four Horsemen?
You should have already death wished. Dude, you're
Dead.
actually a fucking
He's fucking griefing. Holy shit.
Wow.
You just do that?
People are saying that's like 300 hours of gameplay time down the drain for all those people. 300 to like 1,000.
Played outside of raid with them, talked about long haul and wanting a KT kill, and then he had full intention of throwing at Four Horsemen. So he waited for his moment to strike for a year.
That's insane. Like if that's true. Now, I'm not convinced necessarily that this was all like a year of careful planning to do this. I think he just might have gotten to this moment. He had thought about it a couple times. Maybe I do this. Maybe I troll them and grief them. That could be funny. It could be viral. And then in this moment at this boss fight, he was like, okay, yeah, screw it. And so he did it. And he brought him over and griefed all of these people all at once. I have a feeling that's probably what happened. Because I don't know. Maybe there are people that hardcore that will grind for a year just to grief a group of strangers that I guess become your friends. Which is just, that's insane. That's insane. So I haven't followed hardcore WoW much, but that is one thing I saw a couple months ago that related to hardcore WoW that I thought was quite funny. Check on the MetaQuest 3 thing. Did they finish it or is it still going? I'm scared to click on it because I don't want to have everything struck. Let's see.
Sure that these technologies are accessible to everyone. Right? Sometimes we innovate by releasing something that has never been seen before.
I like how his hair looks like it's drawn on with a Sharpie, especially from a distance.
But sometimes we innovate by taking something that is awesome, but is super expensive.
The dude shredded, though. The dude is shredded. Like, I've seen the videos of him doing jujitsu. I used to do jujitsu pretty hardcore. We talked about it on stream the other day. And this guy knows what he's doing. He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
And making it so that it can be affordable for everyone or even free. And innovation to bring the future to millions or eventually billions of people is a big part of what we do. And I think that that's really important too. All right, so with that all said, let's jump right in. First, we are incredibly proud to introduce Quest 3, the first mainstream mixed reality headset.
What's the Quest 2 then? I thought that was like the original Quest and then the Quest 2. I have the Quest 2. I think it's great. Especially, I got it when it was still $300. That thing is a freaking steal at $300. It feels insane.
Quest 3 is the most powerful headset that we have ever shipped.
I'd hope so.
And it allows you to blend the physical and digital worlds together. You can navigate it with just your hands if you want, and the hand tracking is getting really good. Or with these brand new precision controllers that we've designed for games or work or things where you want some extra precision. And, of course, it's completely standalone. No wires, no battery pack, nothing like that that's going to break your sense of presence. So when you put on Quest 3, you see the physical room around you.
He's never tried a new hairstyle. So I've read books on very successful people and their traits and quirks and things. And one of the traits with really hyper successful people, you'll notice it with billionaires a lot, is that they tend to always wear basically the same clothes. They keep the same visual appearance. They're not like high fashion, always changing outfits and stuff. And that's true of like Steve Jobs, always wearing the black turtleneck, the jeans. Mark Zuckerberg always wears these t-shirts, the crew neck t-shirts usually, and then a basic pair of jeans. Or I forget the brand of pants he wears, but they're like $800 for a pair. But I mean, he wears basically the same exact thing every single time. Same with haircuts. They always keep it very, very similar. They don't shake it up a lot. And apparently it's like a well-known phenomenon in psychology that like hyper-focused people, hyper-successful people who are hyper-focused tend to also hyper-focus with their clothes. They don't want, or I guess it depends on how you define that. But basically, they'll wear something that's just really easy to deal with. They put it on. They don't have to think about that because they're hyper-focused on other stuff. So they don't want to spend mental capacity or time figuring out what outfit to wear or what t-shirt to put on or what pants to wear, what shoes to wear. They just want to get clothes on so they can get out the door to work. And they just want their hair to be functional so they can get out the door to work. Like they don't want to bother with anything crazy, fancy, or elaborate. And apparently it's just a common thing for people that are hyper successful like this. I don't think it's intentional on their part. I think they're just like, I don't have time to like pick out a fancy outfit or something or dress up like Edward Scissorhands every morning. I just have to do the bare bones basic thing. It's why like some of the richest people I know, based on how they dress, you would think they're actually like below the poverty line. Like they wear clothes that are 30, 40 years old like button ups they've had forever. They wear boots they've had for 10 years. They don't spend time thinking about it or stressing about clothes because they're like, clothes is like the stupidest thing you could spend money on.
Only now it is a canvas that you can bring your digital objects into.
Yeah, exactly, Manny. They're making so many decisions every day that they just don't want to, make unnecessary decisions if they can avoid it. So they just have a wardrobe that's extremely basic that they can just quickly throw stuff on, like just not thinking about it. And to be fair, yeah, a lot of dudes also just act like this because we just don't care that much about how we look. Maybe we should, but
into the world. Quest 3, it understands your space so you can play with the world around you. You can solve Lego puzzles, or you can build your own creations on any flat surface in your room. You can play games like BAM with your friends sitting around a table, whether you're physically right there together, or even if they're far away. People love working out in Quest. But now, if you're doing a body combat workout, the targets are going to come at you in your physical room, whether you're in your living room or if you're in your home gym. You're be able to look around and see the room around you, so you're going to be a lot more comfortable, swinging your arms and moving your body.
Yes, we all have home gyms for real. We definitely do. Very relatable, Mr. Zuck. Very relatable.
The limits of your physical space are going to be able to expand. So you're going to be able to be a part of much larger worlds. There's one point in the Stranger Things game where you can be sitting in your living room or anywhere else, and portals to the Upside Down open right there. Now, these experiences are possible because Quest 3 shows your physical space with 10 times more pixels than what we had on Quest 2. And it automatically maps the space that you're in using 2 dedicated color camera sensors and a depth
Dedicated
sensor,
wham.
which makes it so that if you pick up a digital ball and throw it at the physical wall, it'll bounce off it. Or if someone's shooting at you and you want to duck the fire, you can just get behind your physical couch.
That's cool.
Yeah. Now, this also means that you're going to be able to take a big virtual screen and just drop it wherever you are, and it'll show up in your physical room. And
this is one thing that like you just have to hand it to Apple. Apple's just really good at showcasing this stuff, whereas like Zuck, he's just not. It's not as good at it, you know. Like, yeah, please clap. Yeah, he's just not as good at it. Like Apple, they do the little presentation. It's super cinematic, very high quality, and they just demonstrate it and you get it. Whereas the MetaQuest, it always feels like whenever they do one of these presentations, it's like you said, please clap. Please clap.
And this is going to unlock a lot of awesome experiences for hanging out with people, watching content, even if they're not there with you. Now, one thing that I'm pretty excited to share today is that Xbox Cloud Gaming is coming to Quest in December.
Oh, that's great.
So you're going to be able to play hundreds of Xbox games, including titles like Halo and Minecraft and Elder Scrolls, and you're going to be able to do that on a massive screen anywhere you go. Now, we're just scratching the surface of what's going to be possible when you can drop virtual objects into your physical space. And next year, we're launching something that we call augments, which are basically persistent, spatially anchored digital objects that you can interact with. So, you can put a frame on your wall with photos and videos from Facebook
That's kinda cool.
and Instagram. You can put a digital portal next to your physical workout gear, so every time you walk by it, you can easily jump into a supernatural workout. So, there's a lot to do here.
I mean, that's all cool. Again, it surprises me that all these big companies like Apple and Facebook are just assuming that like we're going to get to the point where we're just walking around our house with these things on. Like that was the thing with like the most cringy thing in that whole Apple Vision Pro whatever presentation that they did is they had those pictures of that girl wearing the Vision Pro headset, just like sitting down on a date or with somebody next to her on the couch with like her weird googly lizard eyes going in opposite directions. Come on, where is it? It was one picture of her. Yeah, like this. He's not wearing a headset. She is. How weird is this? Like, this is very, very weird. Like, do they expect that you're just going to be wandering around your house with it on? Like, all the time? Especially when the Apple Pro or Apple Vision set has like a few hours of battery life or like a couple hours of battery life at that. Like it's just so weird to me that they expect people are just going to start wearing these all the time. And I guess if you're going to put on the headset to go work out, okay. Like I get that. But it's odd that they're like, yeah, we're going to have, you can put automated or augmented picture frames and Instagram stories right there on your table. And like, it's just odd to me. Maybe they get to the point where people, like if I was working in finance or something and I just needed monitors, maybe I would just like sit down at the desk, put on the headset, and instead of monitors in front of me, I just have the headset and then it creates the monitors for me. Maybe that's their thought process. Not that I'm going to be wearing it while walking around my house, but that I'm going to put it on when I reach a certain space and then I'll use it that way. I don't know. It doesn't seem super like cohesive yet.
All right, and with mixed reality on Quest 3, the transition is seamless. So if you're in an immersive experience, you can always just double tap on your headset to get back to your physical environment, and you'll see the immersive world that you're in just melts away. You're back in your physical space.
If he really believed in this, he should have worn the headset during this whole presentation. That would have been amazing. Can you imagine he just comes out kind of stumbling? Hello, everybody. It's me, Zark Muckerberg, Mark's best friend. Totally different. I'm in an augmented reality headset. Come try it.
All right. I'm really excited to see what all of you do with this. I'm really excited.
Standing the wrong
This is
direction.
gonna
Yeah,
be a big
just back to
game
the
changer
audience.
and a big capacity improvement for these headsets. Now, on top of this, we also have the world's best library of fully immersive content. And there are a bunch of new titles that are coming, and they take advantage of all of the new power that is in this Quest 3 headset. Because this is the first headset that is shipping with the next generation Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 Qualcomm processor. It's got twice the graphics performance of anything we've shipped before, and we
How much dedicated RAM? Does it have enough dedicated RAM?
designed new pancake lenses.
I think it's the M2 is what's in the Vision Pro headset, isn't it, Bedtime? I think it's the M2.
And paired them with new displays, so the graphics performance is really stunning. So let's take a look at Asgard's Wrath 2. For the original, you needed a full gaming PC and a headset that was wired to it in order to get it to work. And the sequel runs natively on Quest 3, and it looks awesome. Assassin's Creed Nexus, finally here. Finally here. Worth waiting for. I know a lot of us have been waiting for this. It looks stunning.
I'm already buckled up for the video we're going to do on that. I'm going to like set it up. The new studio is going to be a good amount bigger, so we'll have more space to do it. And I'm going to play it with that headset, and I'm going to just be prepared to puke my brains out in that video. It's going to be just motion sickness simulator. It's going to be so rough. It looks cool. I mean, you can actually do the leap of faith. You can do all of this stuff. But man, I'm going to puke so much while doing it.
It looks stunning. And there were a bunch of other major developers who are bringing great titles out of the Open App Lab that we have, like Roblox, which is launching today. I'm really excited for this one after taking the time to optimize it for VR. It's going to be a big deal. There's also a major live sports season coming up with X Stadium. So, we got fully immersive NBA games for free on us. You can literally sit courtside from your couch. If you're into fighting like me.
This the courtside thing, I'm not that into like sports like this, stadium sports. So I guess everybody in chat, let me know if you're a fan of football, soccer as we call it in the States, or American football or baseball, basketball, whatever. Could you see yourself remove the fact you have to buy the headset separately, remove all of that cost associated with it. But if you had one of these, would you see yourself watching a game like this courtside through the headset over just on a TV? Do you think that would be more immersive? Because you are getting the experience of being courtside. My feeling is that every time I've attended a sporting event live, I would if I'm there to watch the event, I would be better served just watching it through ESPN or UFC or whatever .com, just because then the cameras are close. You can actually see what's going on. The reason you go to the event is for the experience of going to the event, not because it offers better viewing, That's at least my feeling. Oh, absolutely using it? Okay, no way, yes. Actually, yes, I would use it. I love the English Premier League, but no, I wouldn't buy this. It would be a neat gimmick. It's better to watch it on TV. I'd likely enjoy sports more if I could have the view of courtside, but the comfort of home. My feeling is I went to a baseball game, a Rockies game, a few years ago, and we're sitting in the stands. You can't even see the ball when they hit it. It just takes off. You're like, I have no idea where it went. But you hear everybody cheering. So you end up, if you actually want to know what's going on in the game, you just end up staring at the gigantic screen at the end of the field. And I was like, we paid how much to come to this? And I'm just watching a screen when I could be at home watching the game on TV and having beers that aren't $25, each. Or like UFC, you go to the UFC event and you're just around a bunch of angry, smelly people who think that they're also fighters. That's the thing with UFC events live. everybody in the stands thinks that they're also a UFC fighter. So everybody is weirdly aggressive, and like they just got out of the gym, so they didn't shower and they smell weird. Like the UFC events are also really, really weird. Everybody wearing tap out shirts. Exactly. It sounds like Idra's been to one of these. It's just not great. I think if you're actually courtside at like a basketball game, maybe that's better. A football game, like American football, I don't think that would even work, because field side, like right on the midline, you probably can't even see much of what's going on. I mean, it might be cool for like an hour, but I don't think it's a great way to enjoy sports or watch sports. Maybe like this, if you're able to swap cameras to the end of the court versus mid-court, maybe that works. I'm not sure.
I'm
not sold on it.
LFA or Cage Warriors from UFC Fight Pass in 180-degree 4K resolution. Pretty much the next best thing to actually being in the octagon. Oh, that's pretty awesome too.
Elon, where you at? Remember they were gonna fight? They said they were gonna fight, and then Elon like chickened out of it. Elon like drove to Mark's house in, I think, one of his houses in Hawaii, and like knocked on the door and was like, "Are we doing this? Are we gonna fight?" And Mark is like, "Dude, I'm in Paris right now. I'm not there. What are you talking about? Like, if you want to fight, like, let's schedule it and do it. But I can't just wait at my house for you to show up to fight." Like, what? It would be amazing if they did it, though. Like, it would be amazing if they did it. I would pay $60 for that pay-per-view, especially because it's all going to charity. You know, they're not pocketing it. It'd be so great.
We've got a lot of awesome new Horizon content coming. Love it. Shout out to Super Rumble and Citadel, which have gone to the top of the charts of popular Horizon destinations. You know, as you can see, the visuals continue making big steps up, and these are just some of the most fun social games that are out there. In addition to all this, there are also a bunch of tools for businesses that are coming too. You know, millions of people have used, you know, one of the hundreds of productivity and work apps on Quest. And next month, we are launching Meta Quest for Business, which is going to allow you to take mixed reality and bring it to your organization at scale.
I could totally see this actually becoming a thing. I could totally see this becoming a thing. Like, for example, when I worked in real estate, when we were sitting in little cubicles, or like the big guys are sitting in big offices and stuff, instead of having a bunch of monitors and stuff, if you're just cold calling, you mainly want to have like a monitor here for this property, a monitor here for contacts, a monitor here for your emails, a monitor here for this and that. Like, you want a lot of monitors ready to go, but that's very obtrusive and kind of annoying. So I could totally see people sitting at an office. You sit down in your cubicle, put your like Quest headset on, and then it just ties all of your stuff together. And especially if they have like support with Windows apps as well, that could be super successful. That could work. The one thing with the Vision Pro is that it's of course like Apple, so you're limited with Mac stuff, but I could totally see this becoming a thing. I don't know. There's like a handful of interesting stuff that they are showing off here. I don't know if it's worth going through the whole thing. They announcing a new glasses thing? Hold on, what's this?
You know, I kind of thought that smart glasses were only really going to become ubiquitous once we really dialed in, you know, the holograms and the displays and all of that stuff, which we're making progress on, but is somewhat longer. But now, you know, I think that the AI part of this is going to be just as important in smart glasses being widely adopted as any of the other augmented reality features. Now, before even any of these AI advances came up, we'd started planning this product. And before all of that, we built in one more feature into these smart glasses that we thought would be pretty awesome. And that is that for the first time, you are going to be able to live stream to your friends and followers from your glasses.
Oh, it's going to be so toxic, dude. Already the streaming culture is so toxic. Like, I cannot wait to see the insane stuff that, like, people do on Kick with these damn things.
So
Matthew, also thank you for the 5. I find it kind of ironic that they're doing a VR event outside, but then I guess the optics of everyone glued to a Quest would look silly. It is a little funny, yeah. Again, I like if they really were buying into this, it would make more sense to just have everybody in the audience wearing these headsets, but I think even they are aware that that looks pretty dystopian. Yeah, Snapchat already did it, yeah, but this is partnered with Ray-Ban. I don't think Snapchats were partnered with Ray-Ban.
I was chatting about this with Rocco, who is the head of wearables at our partner in making these, EssilorLuxottica. And I asked him, like, hey, do you have any ideas for who would be a good person to take these for a test drive? And
Mr.
I think he had a good idea, so let's go check this out.
No.
Hey, Meta. Code Charles. Calling Charles on WhatsApp.
Hey, Rocco.
Ciao, Charles. How you doing?
All good, and you?
Good, good. Did you get the glasses we sent you?
Yeah, I'm trying the glasses now for the first time.
I can't wait to see your point of view.
Thanks to you, Rocco. It was great to catch up, and I'm going to take these for a test drive now. Ciao.
No idea.
Hey, Meta. Take a video. Let's try some music.
So do they not have a display in them? Is it just a pair of glasses with cameras built on? Is that the whole thing?
Everybody is ready to race, and I am getting ready to. Let's go. Switching to glasses.
What an inspiration. I mean, I don't really get it. Like, just put your phone facing out of your front pocket. Do that. You know? Like, I don't know. I'll look at an article summarizing all of this when we get a little when it's all done. Because I feel like so far it's like, yeah, it's a more powerful headset that can do more. Cool. Awesome. Love that. Bro, as sick as this is, I feel like this is only going to exacerbate the parasocial influencer culture we have, and being terminally online, it's like a Black Mirror is becoming more and more real. Yeah, it is really, really odd. The IRL streamers are the ones that make me feel particularly strange. Like, you're just watching somebody go live their life. I saw one IRL thing where they were literally just like doing household chores, and they had thousands of viewers. And I was like, are people that desperate for a human connection to watch somebody doing the dishes? Like, what? How does that make any sense? Like, I just honestly don't understand it. You'd be surprised. Yeah, there's some weird sleep streams. I heard Amaranth. I saw a TikTok where Amaranth was saying that, yeah, a lot of, it's weird. I will be asleep and the view count will be higher than when I'm awake, like talking to chat and doing stuff. Because people like are hoping that I wake up and do something embarrassing. It's just weird. She's like, I will make more money in my actual sleep than awake. Just from people popping in. It's weird. The whole thing is insane. The girl sleep streams are super creepy. Yeah, I find them creepy. I just wish that like Amazon and Twitch would just like wake up and be like, is this really what we want our platform to be? Because it is like, it falls into softcore porn stuff with a lot of like the hot tub streams and everything. And it all just is built to funnel people into OnlyFans. The whole thing is weird. The whole thing of Twitch is just weird. But then, you know, they banned Dr. Disrespect for like bringing a camera in a bathroom accidentally. I don't know if it was accidental. I think he had it and then he walked in the bathroom, but he didn't show anything, but it was still a camera in a bathroom. Yeah, it's just, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. When are you going to start hot tub streams? Very soon. Very soon. It just takes one video not performing well and then I have no choice. It's bizarre for sure. I know YouTube isn't perfect, but less creepy. I think it's just that Twitch is where, Twitch is the home of streaming right now. So if you're going to stream, you go to Twitch usually. And as a result, all the creeps are there. If everybody came over to YouTube, YouTube would also be flooded with that. I think YouTube just has better algorithms and stuff for sorting through that, so it's not shoved in your face if you don't want to see it. And I also think YouTube would just demonetize all that stuff. So, yeah. Let's touch on this stuff real quick before we meet up with Mr. Joraptor. We probably have time for one more, and then we will shift. Let's see, we already talked about that. Okay, we'll just touch on this. Yeah. So this is from a few weeks ago, but I don't think we did a sorted segment. Maybe we did. I have no idea. But I figured I'd just address it because I've been going back and replaying Hogwarts Legacy and having a jolly old time. It's kind of like a feel-good game. It's a junk food game, as I'll call it in an upcoming video that you'll see in about a week. It's a junk food game. It's a game you play when you just want to veg out and relax. And in that capacity, Hogwarts Legacy is really, really good. But, you know, I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying going back to it. But apparently there are lots of rumors going around that a Hogwarts Legacy sequel is in the works. And I mean, again, this whole thing is just laughable to me because it's like, no duh, of course it's in the works. Like, they're not allergic to money. Of course they're going to be doing something like this. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that they're doing it. The tweet said, sources confirmed that a Hogwarts Legacy sequel is in the works, and that's it. And then this went like trending at the time that it was posted. It's just hilarious to me. The whole thing is just a no duh situation. Within 2 weeks after its February 10th launch, the game had sold more than 12 million copies and generated $850 million in global sales revenue. Last month, it was revealed via Warner Brothers senior global brand manager that the game had achieved 256% to planned sell-through at launch. That's what we call a success, ladies and gentlemen. The game generated over $1 billion in global revenue on current generation and PC alone by May of 23. And bear in mind, they later brought it to the PS4 and Xbox One, and those ports were actually pretty good. So those numbers aren't even factored into this. There's a lot of people that bought it for the first time on those platforms. And it will also be coming to the Switch, allegedly, at some point. And when that happens, we're going to see how that runs. It's going to be really, really funny. But yeah, it's just a no doubt. Like, it was freakishly successful, printed money. And so, of course, they're making a sequel. Of course. As for what it looks like, I'm not sure. I don't know if we go to London. I don't know if it's just a new school year with like new quests and stuff. I don't know. But guess who does know? That team, and that team over at Avalanche, they are spending all of their time right now brainstorming what the hell they're going to do to make it fresh and exciting. And clearly they know what they're doing because they nailed it with Hogwarts Legacy. So I think we are in for a real treat. I'm still going back to it. I'm still shocked at just how big that game is. Like, not only is there this massive open world, the recreation of Hogwarts Castle, there's all this stuff, but then there's also stuff like the Room of Requirement. There's also like basically this weird sort of base building where you can automate systems, where you have your potion crafting, where you can grow your own plants, where you can grow and build your own weaponry in the form of these plants that are used in combat. Like, there's so much to that game. It's crazy. I think all they really have to do for a sequel to knock it out of the park is, you know, of course, go bigger, badder with set pieces and quest lines and stuff, but fix the gear system. Don't do the stupid gear stuff that they did already, because pretty much everything you find looks horrible. And it might have a use in your loadout, but everybody just ended up transmogging. So I'd probably try to fix that. And then as for other stuff, like, it has a lot of hitching even now, so smooth that out. But I mean, in general, the game's pretty good. It's great. I love to see it. I'd assume it takes less time to develop since they already have a great foundation. How many times would you say, or how much time will you say it takes? I would guess we probably see it in, like, at least we hear about it in a few years. I don't think that they're going to rush it out. I think it seems clear that Warner Brothers listened to their feedback and listened to what they were saying they needed. And So they said, hey, we need time. We need to not do microtransactions. We're not going to do Quidditch, all this stuff. And they listened to the dev team, and then it paid off. So I think this time around, they're going to give them as much time and money as they need. And I think it's going to end up pretty well. So I would assume maybe in 3 years we hear about it. Maybe in like 2026. And they probably, I mean, they might even push it towards like the end of this generation, seeping into the next gen so that they can get that cross-generation money. That might not be a bad idea, but that again takes it all the way to 2028. And that would be a 5-year dev cycle, which is a lot of time for it. So we'll see. But again, bear in mind, Hogwarts Legacy was technically built around like the PS4 and Xbox One. So we're talking about a game that like was not really cutting edge when it came out, and it was still really, really good. So imagine what a next gen, or I guess at this point, a current gen version of that game looks like. I don't even know. It'd be super cool though. Maybe our brooms will go faster than 5 miles an hour now. Maybe. Maybe. Let's see. I still have a handful of topics. So what I'm going to do, guys, Joel Raptor is going to hop on here in about 8 minutes, and we're going to do the podcast. And so a handful of these topics we haven't gotten to. The Kwebbelkop thing we'll talk about with him. I want to hear his thoughts on the Kwebbelkop situation. So we'll go through all of that. And yeah, we'll talk about the Baldur's Gate should add real-time combat debacle, which is on Twitter right now. People are talking about that. So we'll talk about all this stuff. We're going to take about a 5-minute break. The podcast will be on a brand new event. So you'll have to go to Luke Stevens Live. You'll see it as a fresh event here in just a minute once I make it. And then we will hit the ground running. We'll do the podcast. So I expect to see all of you guys over there in just a couple of minutes. In the meantime, take a bathroom break, grab a drink, relax, and I will see you temporarily, okay? Okay. See you in a minute. Much love, everybody. We'll see you briefly.